Welcome to Real Talk with Sean, everybody. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Maliya, whose son Caden is autistic. And I want to thank you so much for accepting my invite. I really appreciate you, Miss Maliya.
Thank you so much for having me.
How old was Caden, or how old is he actually?
Hayden right now is 9.
When was he diagnosed with autism?
Um, I adopted him, and that was already in his paperwork at 2. So sometime before he was 2.
Oh man, now that's a whole other ball game right there because
Yes.
I did not know that. So let me say that I commend you for doing that because I mean there are so many kids in the system that need a loving home. So
Yes.
I'm going to assume just from us meeting and speaking with you that Kaden lives in a loving home. So
Yes.
that's such a good thing. I did not know that, everybody. So that's an added piece. So you've had him since he was 2,
Yes.
and it was in his records that he was autistic?
Yes. Um, so a little bit more backstory.
Okay.
Um, so I adopted him when he was 2. I did adopt him from a family member. He had went through some abuse with that family member. So he has cerebral palsy, a brain injury, and autism was also in his chart already. I don't know what testing they did. It was in Colorado. So I don't know how the testing differs state to state. But all of that was in his chart while I fostered him for about a year and then I adopted him. So,
Wow. So cerebral palsy, is he, I mean,
mhm.
that's something well, let me not say that I know, but I don't think you can get rid of that. Like, that's not something that can be cured.
No,
Right? So
no.
can he walk?
Yes, he can walk, he can jump. Can't get both feet off the floor, but he will jump. He will speed walk and say that he's running.
Oh,
Um, he has a wheelchair for long distance, and he can speed in that too.
a
So
typical boy, typical.
yeah. He does have some other like medical equipment like AFOs for his feet. They help strengthen his leg and kind of keep his leg straight to kind of keep him balanced to walk. So he wears those every day. But he's able to walk, talk, feed himself. The only thing he really can't do is use the restroom.
Why, if I may ask, why would you say, I mean, not
Um,
say, but why not?
we're not sure yet if it's the autism or the brain injury or the cerebral palsy. They all play a part in everything, but we just don't know which one is kind of hindering with that. He can tell me to change him after he's went, but I don't know if he can tell
Yeah.
when he's going.
So the brain, at whatever it may be, the brain is not signaling to him
Yeah,
that he needs to use it. But of course, when
yeah,
he feels that on his bum or in his,
yeah.
he knows that I
I
need.
think he's just smelling it.
Okay.
I
Oh,
don't even think it's a feeling.
oh, wow.
So, the cerebral palsy does affect his left leg. Um, Sometimes if I like tickle his leg or whatever, he can feel it. Sometimes there's no reaction. So we don't really know how that's, going and affecting how he can use the restroom.
That is it's amazing to me, and not amazing in a good way. I use that word a lot when I say when I talk about certain things
Hmm.
that have to deal with the brain in particular, because that's crazy. Like, I mean, like he can speak, he can talk. Like you
Hmm.
said, he can, his sense of smell is there to say, change me, but something,
Hmm.
the brain, whatever that may be, or whatever happened to him that could have made him be this way or this situation, or physical disability, let me say that he may have.
Hmm.
It's just amazing to me that the brain is not signaling that I
Yeah.
used a restroom. But now, because you've thrown that in on me, you you threw this in with the cerebral. Have you gotten further testing as far as like the cerebral palsy? Because I know it was in his record, and clearly some
Hmm.
physical attributes that he may have does say, or the symptoms do
Hmm.
mimic the cerebral palsy. But have you gotten him tested to know that that's in fact what's going on with him?
Yes. We've done that for the autism and the cerebral palsy to know for a fact the brain injuries. was given due to like what happened to him. So we're just rolling with that because we know the
Yeah.
situation.
Do you think now, from I know you're not a doctor, but from your
Hmm.
perspective and you being educated from the
Hmm.
doctors in order to be able to give him the best care,
Hmm.
do you know if that brain injury that he suffered as a baby, do you know if that could have contributed to the autism?
I'm not sure. Um, his situation is a little bit different because it's like, well, what is the brain injury
Yeah,
and what is the autism and what is the cerebral palsy? Because the cerebral palsy not only affects the limbs, but it can also affect the brain. So
right.
it's like all these things going on. I don't think in his case that the brain injury caused the autism. I do have some other family members who have like learning disabilities and one other with autism. So it could just be genetic.
Okay.
Um, but I didn't see him as a baby, so I don't really know. I only saw him when he was 2. So I can't say like, oh, like well before,
Yeah,
or after, I can't tell what the difference would be.
exactly, because you
Hmm.
were around. Because
Yeah.
I thought, to my knowledge, that children were not able to be diagnosed until they were 5 and older. But I could be wrong with that. So it's just shocking for me to hear that at 2. I
Hmm.
assume because I see some kids and I'm like, possibly they could be autistic or there could be something
Hmm.
else because I don't want to just throw every child in an autistic basket. It's just that it's
Hmm.
so prevalent now. It's on the rise. Like, I mean, I'm thinking like 1 in 4 kids probably, if not had autism, a touch of it. It's
Hmm.
which I don't know what that's coming from, but it's
Hmm.
just I don't know if it's because during my time, kids didn't get checked as much and mental health and some of these things,
hmm.
some of these things weren't as important as they are. Well, they always have been, but people are speaking up now, like, listen, I have a
Yes.
mental illness. And so because so many kids have autism, what
Hmm.
so what is autism to you in your words?
Um, Autism, I know it's like cliche, whatever, but it is a spectrum. I also work in autism therapy. So I'm seeing like the low end, the high end. I'm seeing everything in between clients who are very verbal, clients, people who are nonverbal and use devices or use different ways to communicate. Um, to me, I would say that autism um, mostly is to me like a learning disability. They all learn and cope in different ways. So learning and behavioral disability.
Mhm. I can agree with that because there is a element of behavior that goes along with it, and then there's
Hmm.
a learning curve that is there as well. When you said you work with, or you mentioned the low and the high end, tell me what that
Hmm. So they used to say like autism, like, oh, if they're level 1, level 2, level 3. They're kind of straying away from that because it is such a wide spectrum. There are some people who might fit the criteria of all of the levels. And then it's like, okay, well, then what level, they're able to do this, but they're not able to do this. So I can't say that they're a level 1 and I can't say that they're a level 2 or 3. Um, so I would say the low end,
means?
um, are the people who you might not know even have autism.
Mhm.
They're able to function a little bit more well in society and in their daily lives. They might just have like a couple of social issues and not pick up on like social cues. The higher end could be nonverbal. It could be the clients or the people, sorry, I keep saying clients, but the people who do have major outbursts, major sensory issues, who would find it a little bit more difficult to function in society, go to the grocery store, go to the park, go to the doctor, even get in the car. Um,
Wow. So what is Caden's level?
Caden would probably be a level 2.
Okay.
He can do a lot, but there's still a lot that he would need assistance for. He wouldn't ever be able to like live on his own.
Yeah.
Um, and with his other disabilities, like just really wouldn't be able to live on his own. But Caden can tell you what he wants to eat, tell you what he doesn't want to eat, when to change him, what he wants to do, if he wants to wear a sweater, doesn't want to wear a sweater. He can tell you all of that, but he may need a little bit of coaching or a little bit of prompting to get like a final answer.
Okay. Okay. What were some signs that he was displaying or behaviors that he was
Mhm.
displaying that led you to getting him tested on your own?
A lot of stimming. So he'll do this thing. He kind of moves his hands like this. He calls it washing his hands. He'll stem like this with his thumb and bend it all the way back. He's really interested in like ceiling fans,
Uh-huh.
which is not a normal thing that kids would be super interested in. Um, and when he's watching TV or any YouTube videos, it's he's only playing about 2 seconds of the video and then he's rewinding it constantly. So those were some of the things. He has a great appetite, which sometimes is not normal for kids with autism. They sometimes are very selective with their food. So for us, it was just a lot of the stimming. And if you ask at first, before all of the therapies, if you asked him a question, he would just repeat the last thing that you said. So it wasn't any dialogue. It was just like I said something and then he would repeat whatever the last thing was. He's not able to make a decision,
Right.
you know. So those were some of the things that led us to speak with the doctors and be like, well, is this autism or is this, in his case, the brain injury? Like, and then got some testing and it was autism.
What is stimming?
Stimming, for some people with autism, um, it's just something, it's like sensory seeking, that could just, make them feel good. So in Caden's case, he'll do a lot with his hands. He'll move his hands, he'll move his thumb, he'll watch the fan, and his head and his eyes are going with the fan. Um, or if he's watching a YouTube video and it's like those little 2 second clips, he's
Uh,
repeating those little 2 seconds, even if it's like a sound, like he will repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, because that feels good to him and that's very soothing to him. So,
that is, I wonder why, and I probably will never have an answer to that,
mhm.
because I mean, not inside of their brains to know the why behind it. But I just find that, and it's the same with a lot of autistic people in general. They do the stimming. What the
Mhm.
stimming is, so is stimming. Can I assume that stimming just means like a repeated, like they're kind of? Is there a definition for it? Like what is it actually?
Um,
No.
it could be a repetitive behavior.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay,
Mhm.
that is crazy.
And
So,
it could be vocal or it could be non-vocal. So when Caden's watching the fan, he's not saying anything. He's just watching it.
uh,
He's just watching it go. Um, a lot of his stems are not vocal, or like what he's doing with his hands, they're not vocal.
mhm,
They're just visual. They're physical. There are some, Caden does have some vocal stems.
mhm.
Um, it's profanity, unfortunately. We are working on that. But like that's if he's gonna stem vocally, like that's what he's gonna say. Some people it's just repeating phrases over and over and over, or writing over and over and over. I worked with someone and he would only write movie titles backwards. And he loved to do that. It's like scratches an itch in their brain.
Exactly.
It just feels really good.
You put it in the perfect context. It scratches their itch, and I love
Hmm.
that. That is true. That's the why, because it
Yeah.
scratches their itch. That I just find it so amazing, and it's not. and again, I know we're all different as humans. So just because
Hmm.
someone is autistic, it doesn't mean that their stemming is the same as another autistic individual stemming.
Hmm.
I just find it ironic that there is a lot of stemming with
Hmm.
autistic people. And so
Yes.
it's just, I wonder what itch it's scratching.
Hmm. Yeah.
Is he in regular school? Is he in what we could, what, let me not say, because I try not to use that
Hmm.
regular, but what society would consider regular school.
He goes to a public school and they have a special education program. And
Okay.
I think a lot of schools in California, there are a couple that are um, like autism forward, or special needs forward.
Mhm.
Um, but Caden, because he's kind of like in between um, like levels, he just goes to regular public school, which I'm fine with, and they have special needs programs. So they take him, he's on the campus with the regular kids. Everybody knows him, special needs class or not. Everybody knows him. He's everybody's favorite.
Oh, that's
Um,
and
yeah.
he's
So
probably not shy. So,
he's not shy at all. And then they provide programs like speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy. They take him out of class for that, or they go to the classroom. He just switched schools, so I don't know which one, but I think they take him out of class. They do the speech or the therapy, and then he goes back to class.
so he is in a classroom with the other students
Mhm.
that are not special needs, and then they pull him.
No, they're all special needs in the classroom.
So all of his classes are with
Yes,
special needs.
they're just on a regular campus. It's not like a secluded campus or anything. They are integrated. They have lunch with the regular, like the regular cafeteria, regular playground, all of that. They're
You,
just secluded in the classroom.
that's cool. You feel like that's an important thing for them to be integrated with the other children?
Yes. Sometimes when they are secluded, they don't get to practice those social skills, or the things that they are learning if they do have, other therapies, such as like ABA therapy. If they're learning these things, they need to also practice them, not only at home and at school, but with society, at the store, with other kids. And I think it's important for other kids and other people to also see the people with autism or other disabilities. Because at some point you are going to run across somebody.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do agree. And I think that it's important to realize that, especially with children, to teach your kids that they are no different than you, just
Hmm.
special needs, or whether that special need be with the brain or them being in a wheelchair with a disability.
Hmm.
But they're no different than you at the core of who we are.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing too. Do you feel that the autism is genetic?
Um, there has been research. I don't know if it's conclusive, but I think they are kind of gearing towards that a lot of learning disabilities could be genetic. Because there are a couple people in my family who do have learning disabilities, so I can say that in my case, I do think this is a genetic thing. It might not be the case for everybody, um, but there's different levels for everyone.
Yeah, true. But you do believe that there's an element of it that could be genetic.
Yes,
Yeah. But how where on the line in the family is he of yours? Is it a cousin, a nephew?
nephew.
Okay, your son, but nevertheless.
Hmm. Yeah.
So what about family? Like, do you have is family really good with understanding that he has been diagnosed with this and treat him the same but different?
Um, yes, everyone's very understanding. I would say everyone pretty much kind of treats him the same but different. They do kind of let him get away with a little bit more. I try not to, um, because you're still a kid. You still have rules and regulations to learn to how to function, not only in our house, but in society. So I do try to instill that always. I don't try to be too hard on him. I know sometimes, like for the most part, it's his meltdowns, and he'll just like throw something really quick. Or he starts like cursing a storm, and it does not stop. But he can't control that all the way. So we are working on that, trying to give him like other things to say. But for the most part, all of his therapists and doctors have been very helpful on helping us navigate um, just kind of life with him.
Yeah, exactly. When you say he didn't, so why do you feel he, and you may not be able to answer this, but to ask, why do you feel that he uses the words to when he's having a meltdown?
Caden is very smart.
Hmm.
Caden knows that it's going to make somebody else upset. So it's for attention, and Caden doesn't care if the attention is good or bad. He
Okay.
wants somebody looking at him. He wants somebody paying attention and talking to him all the time. So he knows like grandma, stepdad, brother. If Caden says a bad word, he knows they're gonna step in immediately and correct him.
So
So what we've been told by the therapist, this is for attention. You have to ignore him. If you ignore him, he'll stop him. He'll be like, okay, well, I'm ready to talk. So it's for attention.
yeah, exactly. And how do you feel about his future? Like how, like as far as him getting older, I heard you mention that he probably will not be able, or not even probably, he will not be able to live on his own as of right now unless science changes something. And
Yeah.
how do you feel about that? Do you worry about him, or how does that feel for you?
Um, as of right now, I don't worry too much about him. He is learning like everyday things, um, to be able to kind of sustain himself. I know I don't have to worry about him and keep my eye on him at all times. Not anymore. I used to have to do that when he was a little bit younger. But as he's getting older, I can sit and he can be like across the room. I can go take a shower. I don't have to, worry about him like getting into anything or like going out the door. And those are like real problems that people do struggle with. He's learning how to use money, and how to ask people for help and directions and all of that. So I do see a bright future for him. He would just always need somebody there.
Okay, and I can understand. And that has nothing
Hmm.
to do with the cerebral palsy. This would strictly be focusing on the autism. You feel that he would always need someone there?
Yes, with the cerebral palsy, he knows how to use his wheelchair. When he gets a little bit older and he's able to carry his wheelchair, right now it's a little bit too heavy, but I will be teaching him how to put it together, take it apart. He prefers walking though, so I don't, we might not be using the wheelchair too much in the future because he prefers to walk. He doesn't want to get in the chair because he sees all the other kids walking,
Of
all the
course.
other kids talking, all the other kids doing this and this and this. And he wants to do everything that everybody else, you
Yeah,
know, is doing.
which could be a good thing because it's a
Hmm.
something that he's constantly going to be striving to do, which keeps him looking forward because
Yes.
it's like it's like a never ending thing to conquer, So I
Yeah.
think that's a really good thing that he is, like you said, in a school with
Hmm.
children that do not have special needs, and there, he gets to eat lunch with everybody and
Hmm.
he as a whole in unison. So that's a good.
Yeah.
When you said that you used to have to watch him, like I
Hmm.
get watching a normal toddler.
Hmm.
Go to that door or touch that
Hmm.
bucket, what have you. But what made him different where you say you can now like do things without having to always have an eye on him?
Before Hayden would disrobe. So that means he would take his clothes off,
Yeah.
diaper, everything. Um, and sometimes he would go in his diaper, smear it on his face, whatever. And then I found some little onesies like on Amazon that were really good and zip in the back. You can't take it off. So
Mm,
we've gotten through that phase. Um, because of the abuse that um, he encountered when he was a baby, um, he wouldn't cry. Still, rarely does he cry. So, and he couldn't walk or talk at the time, but he would pull himself up onto like a little kids table that I had until he was red in the face and he was crying. So it was like, well, I have to watch you because you won't cry if you're in pain because he was so scared. Or like he couldn't get himself down from like pulling himself up. He was only able to pull himself up, but he couldn't get back down. So I had to keep an eye on him because, okay, well, he's not going to make any noise because he can't talk or
right.
walk. And he's scared to make noise. So I had to just keep an eye on that. Um, I don't really know the situation too much, but I think it's because of the brain injury. He would just eat until he threw up. So I think that was brain injury and probably part of the abuse. I don't know if he thought like he just wasn't going to eat anymore. We'll probably never get the answers for that, but I would have to watch him eat or I would have to feed him. And right now he's at a place he can pretty much feed himself, um, walk, talk. I can leave him to get in the shower. I have cameras in my house, so I'll just set the camera up on my phone and take a shower, but I don't have to worry about him like running out the door or opening the door at all. If somebody comes to the door, he just tells me, hey, somebody's at the door. He won't even get up, to go out there. So I'm so
Mm.
thankful and grateful for that because I know that that is not something um, that a lot of parents with autism experience. There's a lot of eloping, derobing.
Is
There's
there-
a lot of, what was that?
So you said there is a lot of derobing and what you're mentioning right now, that's normal
Mhm.
with autistic.
For some of the kids that I've worked with, derobing is probably not that big, but it does happen. Elopement is like if we're walking in the parking lot, you let my hand go, you run. I had a client that they could not even leave their house because as if the door opened a little bit, they were finding a way to get out. You can't open the windows, you know. It was a very severe case. Behaviors like aggression, biting, these kids only get bigger. So if you don't handle that behavior
Yeah,
and they're getting aggressive, they're only going to continue to be aggressive.
yeah,
So I've
exactly.
seen that. I've had, kids as big as me,
Mm.
like trying to push me against walls, because they're upset. But luckily, I didn't have to do any of that with Hayden. I didn't have to worry about any aggressive behavior, um, going out the doors, eloping, derobing, um, or pica. Pica's a big one too. What was that?
What is that?
Pica is like sometimes when people like to eat like in like things that are unedible. They like to eat styrofoam, cardboard, little pieces of plastic. That also is a big thing with kids with autism. It's a oral fixation.
Ah, that's why a lot of people get
Hmm.
chewing the necklaces and you can just put it up.
Yeah. And I just got those two for Caden because he'll bite on his finger. He's not putting any toys or anything in his mouth, but he'll just bite on his finger and I don't want him to like hurt himself. So I've also bought those necklaces and they do work. It takes a little bit of time and practice to get used to it, but pica is also a big thing.
Do you know why these things? I mean, because I could say, okay, there are some children that are not autistic that
Hmm.
have some of these behaviors, but it
Hmm.
seems that a lot of autistic children have some of these same, I mean, a lot of them do the exact same things, like whether
Hmm.
a lot of them are sensitive to hearing, or sensitive, their hearing is sensitive, sorry, so they have to
Hmm.
put the headphones. Why is that?
I think that at least for this sensory overload, um, it's and the pica is just how their brain is wired. Some things could just be too loud for them, and that's just the way that, their brain is wired.
Mm.
Um, some of them, not a lot of them, wear headphones. Some of them really don't like anything on their ears. My child is one of them. Um, but he's kind of the opposite, where he likes everything loud. Everything has to be loud. The TV has to be loud. He's screaming. The iPad has to be loud. He likes everything loud.
And that's good for me because I have
Yeah.
not experienced that. I've experienced the other,
Hmm.
where it's like, I mean, even my nephew when he was young, even walking into a circus, I mean,
Hmm.
he lost it. And
Hmm.
no, he wasn't diagnosed, but we kind of assumed something. But
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, like I mean, he's completely spazzed out. So to hear
Hmm.
it likes it loud, that's a
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. I think it is just a sensory, just the way that they're wired. Because even though, my son likes everything loud, if we go to a restaurant, he's like losing it because there's too many different conversations. Like the grocery store, there's too many different conversations. There's too many things beeping and scanning, or like at the restaurant, there's too many people walking around. Like there's just so many things going on at one time that he just can't really handle it.
Yeah. So
Um,
that's
Go ahead.
that's crazy because is that so along with the autism, because then you have
Hmm.
people that have anxiety
Yes.
that go through those same things, whether in public for the most part.
Hmm.
So is there a form that intertwines with autism and anxiety? Do they overlap?
It could be an anxiety thing. I think that just depends on the person. Um, and how they handle it or what symptoms that, they have of it. Um, as far as Caden goes, um, although things are very loud, like in a restaurant or the grocery store, and there's like a lot of moving parts, people talking, um, his heart's not racing. He's just getting louder. He's stimming a lot more and he's getting louder. It's like he's excited. He's not scared.
Right.
In his case, he's very excited. Like there's so many things, like he doesn't even know what to do, where to start.
Wow. And so he just starts stemming and talking louder.
Yeah. And whatever he hears, he's just gonna repeat it, stem, repeat, stem. He's like a little parrot.
Yeah.
He's gonna repeat everything.
I find that so ironic because it's just some of the same behaviors. What made you start sharing about him online? Because I mean, that's how I found her, guys.
um, Caden has a big, huge personality.
Mm,
Everybody loves him
so
from
cute.
school. Yeah. Everybody loves him, everybody knows him. And some people that I know in person did tell me like, oh, like you should probably like just show a little bit like of your life or like how he is. He's very funny, he's very outgoing, he's very kind, but he can also flip it and be a little Sour Patch Kid. Um, when he's upset. It's not often, but if I like tell him no for something, like, okay, no more candy or no
Yeah.
more TV, then he'll like flip it. But for the most part, he is, a good kid. A lot of people think like autism could be like the end of the world and they don't know what they're gonna do, but it is a spectrum, and I'm just showing my part, of the spectrum.
And it's
Because he can do a lot, but there's still a lot that he can't do. Um, so yeah, that's why I decided just to share.
I think that's cool though, because I mean, and
Hmm.
it does, it's not the end all be all, because I mean,
Hmm.
there are parents, I'm pretty sure, and I could be one if it were my daughter,
Hmm.
since I have two daughters. So, you don't want to think that, you know,
Yeah.
but sometimes I do believe that, like, even as a baby, like, not a baby, but like once they start
Hmm.
to like, move around, you can start seeing signs, but nobody wants to think of their child having a disability because the moment we think of that word, that means that they're going to be cut short of something in life. Um,
Yeah.
People are going to tease them because we do live in a cruel world instead of people wanting to understand the why.
Hmm.
I like to know the why behind it or the brain part. I think so.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate, but I think that
Mhm.
was big of you to share him and
Mhm.
your life with him online. That's, of course, what prompted me to reach out to you.
Mhm.
As far as you, like, how are you? Like, how are you as a parent with, mentally, how does it affect you or not?
Um, I think I think for the most part, I'm pretty good and it doesn't affect me too much mentally. Because Caden is so eager to learn. Um, and he's kind of in between. Um it's not as hard to me, but also I have experience working with people with disabilities. So my opinion could be a little bit different. I've been doing this for a little bit. Um, for me, it's not that difficult. It's just a learning curve. You just have to learn how they work, how they're wired, how they think. Um, and you kind of have to be like one step ahead of them. Um, for Caden, he has always been like an easy kid. There's like I really don't have to worry about much. With Caden, I would say the only change is as of recent because I just moved and my brother moved in with me and he has a daughter and she's two, but she's not on the spectrum. So sometimes with autism, especially Caden is a parrot and he's gonna watch you and study you and copy you, right? So he's watching the baby and now he's copying the baby, but we don't want him to copy the baby.
Right,
We
exactly.
need him to be 9 and her to be 2.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that
So I would say that pretty much is the only thing. A lot of the copying is leading to like more meltdowns kind of for him. It's not really a meltdown because he's just copying that the baby's having a tantrum.
I
So he's having a tantrum.
know.
So that's the only thing where we're trying to like correct that as soon as possible. Um, but for the most part, I don't think, it has too much of a toll on me. Mentally, I'm still able to do a lot with Caden. He can go to school all day. Caden does sports. He's done baseball on a special needs team, basketball on a special needs team. Caden can go to the amusement park. He loves the amusement park. He loves to swim. He loves the beach. He doesn't have a lot of sensory issues or food aversions. Um, I can still take him to the grocery store or restaurants. That's just up to me, to deal with his stimming,
Yeah,
um, which I really don't stop him from stimming, um, or just the outburst,
right. Stop him from
of the cursing. But other than that, Caden's able to do a lot, and I don't like try to keep him in the house, or anything. I do try to let him, out into society as much as possible. Okay, we need to go to the store. I need to go get my hair done. He's been with me. He's gotten his hair done. He's gotten his hair braided and cut and shaved off and
Oh, that's cool.
everything.
Yeah, it's
Um,
yeah, and I get where you because I mean it's he's just like any other child. There
yes.
are some limitations, but I love
Hmm.
that. I love the way you're explaining him because everything that you said is like
Hmm.
the
It's
same.
what other parents,
Yeah,
normal,
exactly. Yeah,
would do. Oh, I have to take my kid to baseball. He has to get a
exactly.
haircut. He has to go shopping. We have to go eat. We have to go here. You can still take your kids along. Um, it's just up to you how you explain it to everyone else. If you explain it like, okay, well, it's a disability and we can't do this and this and this, then I feel like that's kind of on you. But you can also always work towards those goals.
I do agree.
I started with Caden, very young, like, okay, well, we're still going to go to the store and we're still going to do this and we're still going to do this. So now he's used to it.
You said something that I feel is so important. It was you said a couple of things actually, or several,
Hmm.
but this one stood out to me. When you said that you don't stop him, when you're in the
Hmm.
stores and he's stimming, I can assume why, and I think it's a good assumption. But from your words, why don't you stop him? You don't feel like it's embarrassing or people are going to think things. Why don't you stop him from stimming in public?
Um, I don't think it's embarrassing. I don't care whether people assume things or not. One, looking at him when he's really calm, you might not think he has autism, but once he starts to talk or stim or whatever, then most people don't say anything. Um, it doesn't really bother anybody. It's not bothering me. It's not stopping anybody from shopping, even when he is like yelling. And the stimming is not hurting him. He's not doing any type of movement that would be harmful. So the only time me personally, I feel like it's appropriate to stop stimming, um, is if it's harmful for them. They're like, I've worked with some kids, and their stems might be like head banging. They might be sitting against the wall, and that could be harmful. So at that point, then I would stop that type of stimming. Or like, if the parents don't like it, you know, that's the only time I'll stop it. But for my child, this is not harming him or anybody else, and it makes him feel good, so he can do it.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And you two things with that. When you said if the parent doesn't like it,
Hmm.
I feel like as a parent of someone that's autistic, although I have never experienced it, and this
Hmm.
is my opinion, I feel like we need to, and I think you mentioned it, you may not have said it this way, but it means the same thing. We need to meet them where they are. Uh,
Yes.
and of course, still teaching them as you're doing with Caden, there are
Hmm.
rules and you're going to have chores and the normal things that we are supposed to teach our children so that they
Yes.
can, be a productive adult. Um,
Hmm.
I think that it's important to know that we need to meet them where they are, and stimming is something that autistic children, and since we're speaking about children, because
Hmm.
sure adults may still do it, but they're going to do that. So I just feel like it's kind of selfish in a sense, in my opinion,
Hmm.
a parent, unless it's hurting them, as you said, to
Hmm.
stop your child from stemming because it's, as you said, and it makes so much logical sense, they're scratching an itch of theirs. It's not you. So
Yes.
I just feel like to try and stop a child from stemming, we don't know how that could affect them.
Hmm.
I just find that very
Yeah.
selfish.
I think as long as it's harmless,
Yeah,
it's okay. But if they're like picking their skin or picking their lip or biting their lip,
yeah,
okay, now we have to find,
I agree.
maybe some other ways for them to stem, for them to release that,
Yeah,
um, if it is harmful. But if it's not harmful,
yeah,
me personally, I don't see an issue with it.
I agree with you on that one. I do agree as far as the hurting themselves, which leads me
Hmm.
to now that you mentioned that, but let's just
Hmm.
use the head banging as an excuse. I mean,
Hmm.
as
As
my
an example.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I know they feel this pain.
Hmm.
Why do, in from your perspective, why do you feel like they don't have some type of control to stop
Hmm.
that? Like you're bleeding at this point, or there's a
Hmm.
knot forming. Like, why do you feel like they just don't have the control to stop that?
Um, I think in some cases, um, they just don't know a better way to cope.
Okay.
Um, in other cases, it might just scratch that itch for them.
Yeah.
Um, so, at that point, patting, around your house or, wherever they, tend to do that, or like getting, helmets from your doctor, whatever, all of that could be helpful. I did work with a kid that we unfortunately could not help, because he would take his knee to his chin until he was bleeding. Um, and we just could not figure out like why, how to stop it. We kind of just had to let him kind of stop on his own, put protective, padding in between. Um, but there could be a lot of different reasons. I think it really just depends on the child and why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Working with autism, um, or even outside of autism in like behavior analysis,
Mhm.
um, there's like four reasons why people do things. It's either for attention, it's their own self-soothing, they're trying to escape something, um, or it's just that sensory input that they really like. So you kind of just have to figure out why this behavior is happening,
Yeah.
and then try to figure out ways that you can fix it. Is not just going to be one way.
Yeah.
It might have to be a couple ways, a couple different times to try to get it right. Um, but yeah, I can't really answer,
Yeah.
why they don't
Right.
stop.
Do you
Hmm.
feel that, let's say a child that does that, that's banging their
Hmm.
head, do you feel that that is something related to autism, or would you think that something that drastic is a brain injury or something else going on with the brain?
Sometimes with autism, there are different things layered in there. Like OCD could be layered in there.
Mm,
So that could just be like their own,
mhm.
you know,
So,
thing.
yeah,
And OCD is not just like, oh, like it could be I like things a certain way, I like things a certain place, but it's really not that. OCD is also repetitive behaviors.
yes.
So, I've worked with kids where it's like the door always has to be shut, or the door always has to be open, or the door always has to be at 32 degrees.
And
And
they
that's just
know
how they like it.
exactly what
And
30
they know,
degrees is.
yes, without measuring it, they know exactly. Um, so it could just be layered, like with OCD, um, or maybe a bipolar disorder or other mental illness,
Yeah,
type of things. Usually, autism is not alone. There's usually always something else too.
that's my next question. So you just
Mhm.
answered that. So typically, and that I just learned something else actually with that. So typically, autism is layered with something else.
It could be, not
Okay,
always,
not
but
typically.
it could
Okay,
be.
so could be. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, I thought it typically was. Okay, so I misunderstood that. That's yeah, and I guess that just adds a different element to it. So
Hmm.
autism, say it definitely is a standalone um, disability. Do you believe that some of the shots or the injections that mothers have to get when they're pregnant, do you believe that that could be a part of why we're seeing so many children being born with autism or diagnosed with autism?
No, I don't think that has anything to
Okay.
do with it.
Okay. So what do you feel it, because I always related it to that. I'm like, I believe it's
Hmm.
probably these shots that their parents are getting. I mean, who knows what they're putting in this?
Hmm.
We're testing you for this, but what do you feel like? Why do you feel like there's a rise? What do you feel like it's, or it's just more known and people are being diagnosed now?
I think it's just more known and that people are moving away from, oh, my child has, this disability or this disorder. And people used to send their kids away. Oh, well, they have to live there and they
Yep.
have to live in this facility and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it could still be needed or warranted if your child is kind of like too out of control or too aggressive for you to handle.
Yeah.
Then at that point, I'm not against, okay, you need to send your child there or, whatever. But I think more people are just comfortable kind of with it and learning about it and integrating these people into society because autism is not something new. Um, I do think, it is kind of genetic because there are people from back in the day who even had all of these shots. Um, but they're just labeled, oh, like that's just your uncle. He just doesn't talk much. He just
Yeah.
likes his airplanes and he just likes collecting his pens.
Mhm.
And all of those things could be normal, could not be normal.
That is true.
Um, you know, Back then it was very hidden. So
That's,
I think now it's just,
yeah.
kind of being more accepted as the world is changing,
Mhm.
which I feel is good.
Absolutely is definitely good. I totally agree with that. What advice would you give and I think you said something earlier, but just to focus on that question, what advice would you give a parent that is scared to acknowledge that their child may have autism or any type of disability?
Um, it is not end all be all. Um, with the way that society and medicine is changing, and science is just changing, there's so many services that, people could qualify for in order to get help, kind of finding their feet in the disability or whatever may be going on. So don't ever stop trying. But I will say, ignoring it, I don't think would help because you're just going to have to deal with way more problems later.
That's very
So it's better to get that early intervention, to kind of figure out how your life will look, you know,
mhm.
and kind of adjust to that. Um, yeah, there's so many communities, um, that you can be a part of. Like, my child has autism, cerebral palsy, and a brain injury, and I've still found time to get him into sports, to get him to his therapies, to get him to school, to take him to Disneyland, to take him to the zoo. You can still live a very normal life,
Yeah.
but nobody's normal looks the same. There's no standard for normal. So,
Oh, I totally get that. That was a good one. That was really good. Would you be willing to, if you were called upon from a parent that was, since not only do you work in the field, you're
mhm,
actually raising your son that is autistic, would you
mhm.
be willing to speak with any other mothers that may see this, that would be willing to call, or not be willing, would call upon you, or they would like to call upon you to maybe get some advice? Would you be willing to be that person?
Yes, I can give a lot of personal advice and a little bit of professional advice on that.
Yeah.
But there's rules and regulations that I still do have to follow. But at any time that I'm able to help someone who's also going through this journey, or even if their child has different disabilities, I'm willing to learn and, help and give information. I'm always giving out information or researching for people, to find answers, because it really does take community to, especially within the autism community, um, it's you have to find your people. So I would be, very open, to speaking to some other women, moms, dads, cousins, whoever, if they want to get a little bit more insight and a little more advice.
That's a really good thing, and I appreciate it. And I don't have a child, but my goddaughter is autistic, and
hmm
um, may want to connect with you. I mean, there are a lot of you all
hmm
guys
Yeah.
you hear, like she said, it does take a village, and so I
hmm
commend you for that too. And I have a question to ask you off topic,
Okay.
which is still about my man, still about Caden. What made you? Because I'm pretty sure y'all
hmm
are nosy, y'all want to know. And what made you adopt him?
So I never wanted to have kids, right? I still don't plan on, having kids. That's just not for me. Um, But I literally just randomly got a call one day from the courts of Colorado, like, hey, your sister had a baby and the baby's in foster care. So it's either you or the baby goes to Atlanta. But I knew the family that it would go to in Atlanta because they were still trying to place the baby with family. I was like, oh, well, he can just come here and then we'll see what happens. I'm not against, like, I've had all of my nephews before, I've taken care of kids before. So this is no problem. I had him for a little bit. There were some people who were kind of against me keeping him because they're like, oh, well, they're thinking about, oh, well, the doctor said he has this disability and this and this and this, and he was on feeding tubes and he can't eat, and the doctor said, oh, he's a vegetable. He won't be able to walk, talk, do anything on his own. But when I got him, I'm seeing that he's trying. So I don't know what the doctor's talking about. I'm not going to listen to you. He's trying to stand up, he's trying to talk, he's trying to feed himself. So I saw a lot of hope in there and he's trying. So I'm like, okay, well, he can just stay. I've already gotten attached to him. I had him for like 8 months at that point. I was like, well, I've already put so much money and
Mhm.
he's already been bounced around from here to here to here with all of this medical equipment. Like, he just needs somewhere stable, where there's a lot of resources. and there's a lot more resources in California. Do think I think I heard California is one of the better places um, as far as resources go to have a child with autism. There's a lot of programs and there's just a lot of help and community.
Yeah.
Um, so I just decided keep him here. We'll foster him for a little bit, and if this is too much for me, then he can go to Atlanta.
Mhm.
Um, but it was doable for me, so we just decided to keep him. And he's been very happy. He didn't always call me mom at first, but one day he did, and he kind of just stuck with it. So like, well, we're already doing this.
Yeah,
You're already here.
yeah, yeah.
So you might as well stay.
I know that's right. Like that like gave me chills like hearing that. I love that because I mean you could have discarded him. You know, he has
Yeah.
these health issues, then there's
hmm
autism, and people will look at what he has as opposed to who he could be or who he is
Yeah.
going to be. So I really commend you for that and not just tossing another um,
hmm
to the side and not
Yeah.
a black child being tossed to the side.
hmm
So I
Yeah.
commend you.
And also in his case, because he has those three disabilities and the doctors are putting all these notes in his chart, like it's gonna be very hard for him to get adopted. And a
Mhm.
lot of people, even like the last couple of foster families, I think, they were looking at the money. Like, well, how much money am I gonna get for him like living with me? I'm
Yep.
like, well, that's not fair because he's able to do a lot. I think some other places had him just like in the bed all the time, and that's why he wouldn't cry or, do anything. But he felt very comfortable here. So,
I'm just glad that oh my, what the hell happened to me? Why am I so close? Sorry guys. Still hear us. I don't know what the hell this computer's doing. That yeah, that really, really warms my heart. And it's
hmm
true. Like people will see a foster, as soon as they hear foster, people think about
hmm money.
and then somebody could have been doing something to him or hurting him.
hmm
So it's
And
just
he wasn't able to talk or, say anything.
so I just
So he was comfortable here. We were already accustomed, like I'm already taking you to the doctor and this and this and this. Like we might as well
that's
keep
right.
doing
And
it.
you
I've
said
already done it for a year. Yeah.
married.
No.
So is you and your mother, or just you?
Yes, me and my mom adopted him together.
Oh,
And then he has uncles and aunties and everything here. So
that's what's up. So he's with his, and as he should be with his.
yeah.
I mean, I'm listen. I was going to adopt at once, so I'm all for
hmm
adoption. But there's nothing like being raised with your biological family because they
Yeah.
still have a sense of where you come from. So
Yes.
I think that is so good that you did that. Before I let you go, you have to share all
hmm
your information with everybody, all of your social media information. Guys, she's willing to, you know, uh, be that person that could, give you some advice if you need any. Of course, we know she works in that field, so she has to keep it
hmm
with the professional. But from a personal perspective, yeah, I do agree with her. It takes a community. So, yeah, share your information.
hmm I actually only have TikTok.
Okay.
Um, and my handle on there is I'm really just a girl. My name on there should say Mia with a white heart. Yeah, that's it. That's all that I have at the moment.
That's enough because I'm telling
Yeah.
you're getting through to people. I mean, like I said, as soon as I saw you and I started looking at some of the videos, I'm like, okay,
hmm
I like this. I like this because I like to see a parent that's loving their child. And I know people can fake online and show the good things online and then they can
Yeah.
him off and beat the hell out of the child. But
hmm
I didn't get that energy from you. I didn't get that. He looks loved. And like it just, yeah, that's what prompted me to reach out to you. So I
Thank you.
keep sharing your story and him, I mean, because I want to watch him grow. And we know, yeah, I can watch him
Yes,
grow.
everybody loves him. Everybody's already like, this is my internet nephew.
That's right. So he just got
Yeah.
another auntie. So just
hmm
sharing your story and educating people. And I'm glad that you're in that
Hmm.
field. I do believe that people that are in fields like that, the ones that take it serious and do the real work and not treating people
Hmm.
behind the parents' back, I believe that you all are called to do that. Um, because you're really helping and giving back to the next person. So,
Yes.
know what you're doing. I got one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I got one last question for you before I let you go.
Okay.
You promise to always spread peace and love in this world.
Always. I feel like that is my mission. That is my goal. That is what the world needs.
I love it, and I appreciate that. I believe it. Feeling your energy. Everybody that I talk to on here, I kind of get to feel their energy and what type of
Hmm.
they are, and I love that because I mean, even though it's on video, I still can feel the energy
Yes.
of people that I speak with. So I really appreciate you for accepting my invite, and it was a pleasure speaking with you. I even learned some things today. I know you all will too, as if you when you listen to it.
Thank you so much.